judgments. I myself am not the messenger. I am the Lord. I am He, and there is no other. And all the plagues actually addressed a different god of Egypt, false god obviously. For instance, the frog plague, that the frog god represented sort of childbirth and things like that. They all have a point. And the death of the firstborn, the final plague, very often, or normally, the eldest in the family of high-born Egyptians would become the priest. So it was the priests that they were actually getting rid of, that God was getting rid of, because it was a false religion. Now, this cup, what you do is you, in a minute, we'll do it now. You dip your little finger, if you can get it down to as far as the wine, you probably can't. But that's where you've got white napkins. And so with each plate, you dip it in and you drop one drop onto your white napkin. And the point is, the cups are traditionally full, absolutely running over, because as Psalm 23 says, your cup runneth over. And it's a sign of blessing, God's blessing, to have a full cup. But for the Egyptians, it's obviously very sad, you know, the plagues and then finally the death of all the firstborn. And therefore, every time you take one drop out, it's less of a fullness of joy and blessing. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to drop the microphone here as well. Each time I will say a plague, and can you repeat it as you drop the drops off? I have to have some more in, I can't reach your bottom.
10 plagues. Whoa.
Alright, so repeat after me. Blood. Frogs. Lice. A plague on livestock. Boils on people and animals. Hail. Locusts. Darkness. Death of the firstborn. Yes. But at this point, they would have a song called De'enu. De'enu means it would have been enough for us. And it goes on and on and on. It gets faster and faster, and it has a chorus, but we're actually not going to sing it. But just to give you an idea, just two of the lines, it's, had he brought us out of Egypt and not executed judgment against them, De'enu, it would have been enough for us. Had he fed us with the manna and not given us the Sabbath, De'enu, it would have been enough for us. It goes through the whole story like this. Now it's traditional to talk about the symbols. Rabbi Gamaliel, who was around at the time of Jesus and Paul, said that whoever does not explain the following three symbols on Passover has not fulfilled his duty: the paschal lamb, matzah, and bitter herbs. So first of all, the lamb shank. Now, everybody point to it while The Passover offering which our fathers ate in temple days, what was the reason for it? It was because the Holy One, blessed be He, passed over the houses of our forefathers in Egypt. Right, to link that with Christianity and with Jesus, interestingly, what I think is fascinating, outside Bethlehem, the lambs for the Passover were bred. So the shepherds that obviously saw the star and the angels told that Jesus was born, they would have been looking after the lambs that would be used for the Passover the following year. And I've heard recently from a Jewish believer who knows all about it, that these shepherds would not have been ordinary common and garden shepherds, who are much despised actually, traditionally, but were kind of a priestly class of shepherd, because they were looking after these, what would be kind of sacred lambs. So they would have had a much better understanding of expecting a Messiah and so on. You know, which rather explains why they, you know, believed the angel and went so quickly and recognised who Jesus was. And let's say more about that. No, I think that's it. Okay, so then we look at the matzah, and you can all point to it. This matzah that we eat, what is the reason for it? They're eaten to recall that the Egyptians embittered the lives of our forefathers in Egypt. Every generation one must look upon themselves as if they personally had come out of Egypt. He brought us out of there, that he might lead us into and give us the land that he pledged to our forefathers. And now I'll hold up the whole plate and I'll talk about bitter herbs. If you could point to it. These bitter herbs that we eat, what is their meaning? They are eaten to recall that the Egyptians embittered the lives of our forefathers in Egypt. Every generation, one must look upon themselves as if they personally had come out of Egypt. He brought us out of there, that he might lead us into and give us the land that he pledged our forefathers. And the egg represents not a happy Easter egg in new life, far from it. It's a burnt egg, and it represents the burning of the temple, the destruction of Jerusalem, and latterly the Holocaust, and it's really a symbol of grief. Right, at this point we raise the second cup, but we still don't drink it. Therefore it is our duty to thank and praise in song and in prayer, to glorify and extol him who performed all these wonders for our forefathers before us. He brought us, now can you repeat the second bit of each one? From slavery to freedom. From anguish to joy. From sorrow to festivity. From darkness to great light. Therefore let us sing before him a new song. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And you still don't drink it. Well, you would, but you will in a minute now. But normally it would be replaced, and Psalms 113 and 114 would be sung first. But we're not going to do that. So now you can. First of all, I'll give the blessing. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. This is the cup of deliverance. I will free you from being slaves to them. Last we can drink. And now will be a ritual hand washing for all. But I think at this point it was the time when Jesus actually washed the disciples' feet. And he would have shaken them to the core because touching feet would have been the job of the lowest slave. Do you remember when Saddam Hussein was brought down and they were taking their sandals off and beating his statue? Feet are very significant in the Middle East. And Muslims are very sensitive about them. They don't, you must never present the sole of your foot or anything like that. And it was, in a way, the same in Jesus' time. So it, to me, is absolutely amazing, second only to the crucifixion, that Jesus, who literally flung stars into space, he kind of did the actual creating as part of the Trinity, the Godhead, that he should take the part of a slave and take off his outer clothing and kneel before the disciples and wash their feet. Just incredible.
Gosh, how many more pages?
Right, now I hold up the different pieces of matzah. First of all, the top one, with a prayer. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And the middle one. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by thy commandments to eat unleavened bread. Now what we do is eat a little bit, but you take 2 little pieces of matzah. I have to take one from the middle and one from the top. And you eat each little piece. Just little bits. And then next is the lettuce with a prayer. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by thy commandments, and has commanded us to eat bitter herbs. Now you can't, it's a bit hard to dip, this carotid is quite solid, but you have to do it with your fingers, but you're supposed to get a little bit of russet onto the lettuce leaf and have a mouthful. Now, Lord Sandwich did not make the first sandwich. Apparently that's attributed to Rabbi Hillel, who was very famous, a long time ago, many centuries ago, sort of shortly after Jesus, about Jesus' time, because he says at this point that you take another 2 pieces of matzah, 2 little pieces. I'm to take it from the bottom one. Okay, and you make a little sandwich, and you sandwich a bit of horseradish and a bit of the crosset, which represents the mortar, and you together and make a sandwich. You've got a little sandwich. Now the horseradish should be quite hot and make your eyes water because it's a symbol of the bitterness of slavery. It makes you cry. And this is called a sop. This is what Jesus, and you told in the Bible, talked about, you know, the one who would betray him was dipping in the same dish, dipping in the haroset and the bitter herbs. And actually, it was the thing that the leader of the Passover would do for his closest friend. It was a sign of great affection to dip, to offer the sop to someone. So I feel that he was offering Judas a last chance not to betray him. And Judas, of course, chose otherwise. So another, yeah, we think most of you eat these, I'll eat mine. So the traditional meal begins with a hard-boiled egg. Now, this time you dip it into salty water, again representing tears, and eat the egg. Right, well now actually is the time to have our meal, and afterwards there's a little bit more tradition to share with you.